Welcome all. Thanks for coming. We're going to start by standing up, which is a pain in the arse, isn't it? But that's how it goes. So let's stand up, s'il vous plaît. And we're going to start in Tadasana, which I love. Simple. A friend of mine years ago, she said to me that she loved, her favorite pose is Tadasana. And at that time, I was like, what are you talking about? It's boring. But I get it now. So we're faced towards the shrine side of the room, towards these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, feet together or apart, together if the thighs don't meet before the feet. If your thighs meet before the feet, then just have the feet underneath the thighs, as it were. Spreading the toes, playing with the feet, tuning out of everything else. Apart from this, so this, of course, is very rich, this with a capital T. So I often move my feet a lot because I'm stretching that plantar fascia. I'm moving the calf muscles and the thigh muscles and even through the gluteals and the back muscles. What we want to avoid, of course, is any gripping, grasping, or grabbing of any kind. Notice that the body wanders. It can wander, like left or right. Sometimes people I like to lift the insteps of my feet often, but sometimes people like to bend the knees so that things drift around. The chest is lifted, the shoulders are down, the head is elevated, the eyes are soft. The pelvic floor has intelligent tone. So I call it buoyancy or intelligent tone. And we'll bring the hands to Tadasana Namaskara. So namas, of course, means to bow or to reverence, and kara is from the root kri, which means action of some kind. So arriving in this super beautiful flow. And it's beautiful because of chamatkara, because we're able to experience it. Interlace your fingers to their roots. Stretch your arms downwardly and raise your arms up. Uddhva Baddha Angulyasana, Tadasana. Lightly toning the tummy, ranging around. You find your own way, which is not, doesn't become your own way as a sort of formula, but is just a response to how things are exactly, how things are. So response to exactly how things are requires emptiness, doesn't it? Because if I come loaded with views and opinions about how I did yoga before, how I'm supposed to do yoga, what my favorite school of yoga is, obviously it's Vajrasati, but might we have loyalties, Iyengar yoga, forest yoga, Shivananda yoga, Ashtanga, on and on. Big circle, hands to the hips. Take a deep breath in, followed by a deep breath out. And let a few deep breaths just come and go. With eyes very, very soft. And tuning in to this, which is tuning out of that, which is joyful. Morning. Morning. Yeah. Or actually grab another one, would you? Because Francis will go on that one. Yeah, thank you. In the cupboard there. It's all right. Don't worry. Raise your arms up. Loosen the roots of the neck. Lightly tone the tummy. Inhale, reach up from every part of the body. Exhale, bend ankles, knees, and hips. And allow movement if you want. Or it's not even if you want or I want. Just, it's a response to exactly how things are. So right from the first time we find it in the Pali Canon, the idea of, or the concept of the experience of emptiness has been emphasized. We even find it in texts that are 2,300 years later, like the Dattatreya Yoga Shastra, emptiness. So emptiness means you're just open to this, like it is, not like we think it is. Being open is another thing that you do, is surrender. In the present is surrender. Inhaling to stand, a big circle, hands to heart. Breathe through the nose if you can. Allow movement if it's spontaneous. So for me, I often, I have to tune out of patterns, like, I don't know if it's the same for you. I can get quite bullish. So caught up in, what I think of as effective patterns, but they're not very alive. They're just kind of bullish. Good. Take your feet hip width apart and have a look down. And hip width we ascertain, by the way, by pushing the pelvis to one side, like that. And you can feel where the bone sticks out furthest there. That's where we draw the line from there to the outer feet for hip width. And then raise the arms up. Loosen the roots of the neck, lightly tone the tummy. Breathe through your nose. Jaw soft, eyes soft, brain soft. Press the feet, raise the fingers on the inhale. So press, raise. Exhale, bend ankles, knees, and hips and play any way you want. Sometimes it's nice to lean quite far forwards. Other times it's nice to turn left or right. You can have an arm back or an arm forwards. There's multifarious ways in which you can utilize the moment most effectively for this coming together. And it's required to have to be in an open condition. Some people come down to a squat because the pose, of course, is called Utkatta, which means to squat. And these are options. Eventually, we'll come back up our own way. Take a big circle, hands to heart, breathing deep, eyes soft, jaw soft, brain soft. Hopefully, the heart rate's gone up a little bit. It usually does. So everything that can be soft is soft. Raise up again. Inhale, feet to fingers, press feet, raise fingers. Exhale, bend ankles, knees, and hips and lean forwards until you can touch the floor with your fingertips. And I quite like a little bounce, bottom bounce, or a little movement left or right. I won't put that on my CV. Read that so many ways, but I do. And it can loosen the back quite pleasantly, a little bottom bounce. I think I'm digging a hole deeper and deeper, aren't I? breathe easy to yourself. So hopefully you're finding ways to loosen your back and to enjoy your morning. And then we're going to raise the arms up behind us as if we're skiing. Quite fast, I guess. This would be skiing fast. And then arms up, Utkatta, and all the way up calmly, listening to the body. Take a big circle. Hands to heart, breathing through your nose. Deep, honest breath. Bring the energy down to the feet. So for me, sometimes I sort of shake that and I imagine it like I'm playing Kaplunk. And the marbles are all kind of doing that very satisfying sound that only marbles can make collectively. Hands on the hips, step your feet generously apart and have a look at your feet. We're going to take the diagonal first. That is to say, taking the front foot forwards towards me. So mine's coming towards you. Yours is coming towards me. And the back foot goes away from me. Mine's coming away from you. Yours is coming away from me. Make sure your back toes don't turn out. And stretch your arms. Inhale, exhale. It's full of mystery, this diagonal version of Trikonasana, full of mystery, as is every moment. So taking breath. So it's, the only way you can be with it is to be with it. Not to hold your breath, not to try to do a yoga pose, not to try to be yogic. but just open, listening, responding, breath-centered. Hand on the leg, palm down. In some cases, quite unusual, the hand could come to the floor, but I think it's not useful for most people unless you've got very short legs and very long arms. Right. Inhale, coming up, which, you know, some people do. Okay, feet forward. Let's calmly go back, go forward. So the front foot has come towards me, the back foot has come away from me, and the back toes, the other way around, Ruth. So you got it, that's it. So the instep of the front foot should be parallel to the front of the mat. So just have a look and check, and the back toes shouldn't turn out, and then we raise the arms. And really you can feel, I think, a lot more openness in the chest. Inhale, exhale. Listen and respond. So every micro moment is something we're open to. Don't hold the breath. Do soften the eyes. Soften the temples. Breathe expressively. So that expressive breath will help us a lot to tune in the right way. Because the only way for it to be the right way is for us to be empty / open. Completely open. Inhale, come on up. Well done. Calmly realign your feet. So take due care over your knees and so on. Check that your toes are equidistant from the front and the sides of the mat. Then we're going to raise our arms up from the hip joints. And I'm going to take my cardigan off. Things have got serious. Things just got serious. Raise the arms up from the hip joint and lightly tone the tummy. Breathe through your nose. Jaw soft, eyes soft. I like to think I may be the only yoga teacher who wears a cardigan and tiny shorts in combo. Anyway, who knows? Back toes in, front foot and leg out, whole body's turning round. So square it up ahead of you, which means walk your front foot further across the width of the mat, away from me. It also means lifting the back heel up, turning it out, and then bringing it down again. For me, this pose that we're coming into, Virabhadrasana, number 1, Ekam, really revolves a lot around the psoas muscle. So inner groin of the back leg through to the deep belly. So let's focus on that inner groin of the back leg as we raise our arms up. Inhale, exhale, bend your front knee. And really tune in on the psoas. So hopefully you can feel some stretch across the groin, across the pubis, across the top of the inner thigh, somewhere around there. And as you feel it, that stretch of the muscle that starts on the top of your inner thigh, feel that it moves all the way around and attaches to the sides of your lower spine, the sides of your lower spine. And so you can perceive that muscle as coming round as it stretches. So it's both turning and stretching. Lots of little movements of the back foot can be very, very helpful. And any other movements that help also, of course. Inhale, come up on the inhale with the inhale. Turn back to the front, take a big circle, level your feet up, hands on the hips. And some deep breaths, plural. Deep breaths, plural. Find the pelvic floor. It's not that you haven't lost it, but you know, just find it, like tune in. And the only difficulty in tuning in on the pelvic floor is if you're tuned in on something else, like thoughts of the future, thoughts of the past, ideas about oneself in the present. Raise the arms while I'm fully aware of the pelvic floor, turning the palms, lightly toning the tummy, fully aware of the pelvic floor in a way that's relaxed. It's not like looking out for something, you know. Back toes in, front foot and leg out, whole body turn, square up the body. So again, you walk the front foot further across the width of the mat. Go quite generous. Width-ways, like a swimming pool has a length and a width. Across the width, you want to go generous. If you haven't lifted the back heel and externally rotated it, do it now. And you can do it more than once if you find it useful. Light tone in the tummy, released in the roots of the neck. Inhale, exhale, bend your front knee. Again, focus on the inner groin and try to visualize and feel the psoas muscle coming from the top of the inner thigh, lesser trochanter of the femur, and it comes across the pubis, and then it's attaching to the sides of the lower spine. So it's stretching and turning. It's stretching and turning and lifting too. And this action of a long muscular area here takes adjustment and readjustment, which you can facilitate, for example, through movements of your back foot. Sometimes I lift the heel, sometimes I even lift the little toe side of the back foot, and I use that to help work the psoas round. The lighter I am on the back heel, the little bit more freedom I have to turn the psoas. Inhale, come up with the pelvic floor. In your awareness, take a big circle, level up your feet, hands on the hips. Deep breaths, plural. 2, 3, 4 or more. Deep breaths. Now we're going to walk our feet towards each other and we're going to take bricks. Now I'm going to use 1, but you can use 2, 3, 4, and I'll just show you what I mean. Well, actually, I won't show you. We'll do it together. If you all face towards the midline of the room. At home, you can face anywhere you like. You're going to step the foot that's closest to this side of the room forwards, just as I'm stepping the foot that's closest to you forwards. You're stepping the foot that's closest to me forwards. The blocks can go like this, big toe side, or like this, little toe side. I prefer little toe side because you extend the bottom ribs a bit, but sometimes balance is difficult, so you keep it on the big toe side if you just can't balance. The blocks can be this height, you know, you'll be able to play with it when we come to it. Hands on the hips, generous stride across the width of the mat, don't go narrow. A sort of bare minimum would be heel to heel, but actually that's almost certainly too narrow for nearly everyone. Again, we're going to focus on the psoas and the breath because it's the same thing. When we talk about body, brain, and breath, these are arbitrary delineations created by words, but not actually created. You know, we just believe. They're beliefs that we then see. So we know that we tend to see what we believe. Lightly toning the tummy, focus on the inner groin of the back leg, find the pelvic floor, raise the arm that's furthest away from me, the opposite to your front leg. Inhale, exhale, extend forwards and turn towards me. And this is where you might have your block higher. You can have it higher like this, or you can have it on the big toe side that feels better. You can have it lower. You can have no block. Probably not. Maybe. And you're extending your bottom ribs. This is Parivrtta, Trikonasana. Release the gluteus maximus on the back leg, or at least release the fibers that externally rotate it. So bend your back knee a little bit, bend your back knee until you feel some release that you might even feel in your eyes as well. And then extend your bottom ribs and turn. Extend your bottom ribs and turn. There's an option to raise the top arm up. It's optional. So only if you want to. Breathing through your nose if you can. So think of this as a central channel practice. We're turning the Ida and Pingala channels either side of the central channel, around the central channel, squeezing all the channels so that we get some flow going on. Okay, inhale, come on up. Rotate. Back foot forward. You're going to be turning away from me. So just swap which foot's forwards, which foot's back, and you obviously can move your blocks if you need to. It's a big, beautiful pose. So walking your front foot across the width of the mat, make sure you've really turned your back heel out as far as you can. Your blocks will be either big toe side, that can really help with balance on the big toe side, or little toe side. That's either way is good. Hands on the hips, find the pelvic floor. Lightly tone the tummy to keep the lower back longer as you lift your ribs. Lightly tone the tummy to keep the lower back longer as you lift the ribs, as the ribs are lifted. Raise the opposite arm to your front leg. Raise from the inner groin of the back leg to the fingertips on the inhalation. Inhale. Inner groin to fingertips. Exhale. Inner groin to fingertips. Again, you can be on the big toe side or the little toe side. Lots of things I like to do. I quite like raising one or both heels temporarily. I don't guess everyone's going to like that, but I really like it because it helps me get longer in my back, but it is tricky for balance and a bit more intense on the legs. Extend the bottom ribs, breathe through your nose. Soften your eyes. The option to raise the top arm is there, but it's an option. Otherwise, the hand is quite good to have it on the sacrum. So this massage of the channels, Ida on the left, Pingala on the right, and the Sushumna in the middle of those two. And of course, these are just a few channels. Even in the Upanishads, we have lists of channels of nadis and nardikas. Nardika just means little nadi. Okay. Inhaling to come up. Well done. Turning back to the front, hands on the hips. Feet facing forwards. Allow movements of the pelvis if they feel like they tune us out of less flowing experiences. We're tuning us into a dance-like experience. Yoga is a dance-like experience. Turning the toes inwardly towards each other. Inhale, lift up from the groins. Lift your chest. Exhale, hinge from the hip joints. Let the thighs rise up. You can use blocks if you want or not. But we want the anterior chest to be open. So we could be on the fingertips, depends on the length of our arms and relative to the length of the legs. And every pose opens up a sort of Aladdin's cave of wonders, I think, correctly. So, open to the richness of the pose. Instead, we can easily have an attitude of ticking the poses off, our list, and done that. It can be part of our tick list. I always have a tick list on my desk. But we don't want yoga to be a tick list. So let it be in Aladdin's cave and explore it, like you're picking up a sort of a golden necklace here and, one of those lamps that have genies in there. And adjusting and readjusting. Adjusting and readjusting. So it's good that it's endless, because if something's endless, it means it's infinite. And if you put something finite next to something infinite, it will render the finite to nothing, to zero. So what is the finite? It's our limited, conditioned views and opinions and perceptions around self. We all carry with us, don't we, these views and opinions that other people have told us things, perhaps when we were children or when we're adults, and we pick them all up. Sometimes they tell us things that we think are great and give us a swagger, and other times they tell us things that, we feel like it's a shameful dog. But the truth is emptiness. So when the experience is empty, that makes it an Aladdin's cave because it's infinite. Okay, groovy. Back to fingertips. Walk your feet a little closer to each other and get as high as you can on your fingers. And then leading with the chest, calmly coming up, feeling the stretch going down to the heels and walking the feet towards each other, feeling the energy go down. You can even shimmy it down, you know, trying to get those kaplunk marbles to go make that lovely kaplunky noise. Good, take a few deep breaths. And then we're coming down to sitting. And because I'm a lover of luxury, we should have a blanket. Let's treat ourselves. Let me get one for you. Yeah. So you're going to put the blanket down. We're going to come into cross-leg position. That is to say, Sukhasana. And so we want to sit on the blanket, all comfy and lovely. That's for you. And then this one's for you. So you've got comfy, lovely. So sitting on 1 to 2 blocks. If you're on 2 blocks, you'll need another blanket for underneath your shins. Good. So buttock flesh drawn out and back if you haven't already. Make sure there's a gap between the legs and the pelvis that you can see the mat through. And I find it useful to adjust and readjust. Draw the buttock flesh out and back. There's a gap between the legs and the pelvis. Some people find it useful to gently pull on the shin to encourage the lower back to draw in and up. And then moving, spontaneous movement sometimes is part of entering the Aladdin's cave. So the pose is endless, therefore it's infinite, like an Aladdin's cave, just full of treasures endlessly. And our self-view, which has been created by life story, familial bias, cultural bias, life story so far bias, things people have told us. And so our self-view is very unstable because it's made of things that don't agree with each other as well. And we tend to try to stabilize that which is changeable. You know, if we feel sad, then we say, oh, I'm sad. You know, we feel happy, say, I'm happy. But the I that we're making there is finite, it's completely changeable, completely unstable. The infinite renders that to zero. So what is the infinite? Our fascination here and now with the endless richness of the goddess, which is a way that we can describe this moment. The feeling of the blanket, the movement of the pelvis, any stretches around the buttocks or tailbone or hips. So it's quite a specific pose. I'm sure you've all got it in the right position, but just to reiterate that there is a generous gap here. You should be able to put at least 1 carton of Oatly there. Barista Oatly. Other oat milks are available, but not as desirable. So breathe easy, jaw soft. So there are muscles, you know, that you can feel around the tailbone, around the pelvic floor. And we're going to bring our hands together interlace, stretch the arms diagonally. Make sure the roots of the neck are soft. Stay passive in the body mind, peaceful, spacious, open, dance-like, light like a dandelion seed. And then raise the arms up. When you're ready, make sure the roots of the neck are soft. So as you normally, when the arms go back, some of us find our heads go forwards, which of course means that there's a lack of flow. So when your arms go back, feel the whole pose serving lightness, space, flow, and breath. Lightness, space, flow, and breath. And really feel the central channel as increasingly spacious. I mentioned that, where is it? Hang on, that's, actually, I've got the date wrong. 1,800 years after the Buddha first talked about emptiness, we find it reiterated in Hatha Yoga in the Dattatreya Yoga Shastra, which says, contemplate emptiness all the time. When you're asleep, it says, when you're awake, when you're laying down, when you're moving around, all the time. In some translations of the Dattatreya Yoga Shastra, I say that concentrate on the vacuity, the emptiness, particularly in the central channel. And that means throughout its length. And, obviously the central channel is a projected feature that we project onto the body. Okay, big wide circle. So all geographical features are projected. When we say like a hill, well, where does that hill end? We just say the hill is there, but where does it end? And similarly with something like the central channel, it's a geographical feature of the subtle body. So it's subtle, it's an arbitrary line that we draw, but it helps us tune in on something beyond lines, beyond thinking. Inhale, lift up from both groins. Exhale, right hand on the floor behind you, left hand crosses over both legs. Keep the jaw passive so that we're not slipping into either of the three gurus. Gripping, grasping, grabbing, which, as I mentioned before, should be visualized as three bears, each with its own respective t-shirt. One says gripping on it, one says grasping, one says grabbing, because that's their names, these three bears. Meaning to say that when we visualize gripping, grasping, grabbing, it's something that's kind of cute, like bears are cute and fine. We're not against bears. But at the same time, you don't necessarily want to get too close. So gripping, grasping, grabbing, they exist. Getting close would mean acting on them or trying to push them away. But you've got to notice them, to know how to not get too close to them. If you're in the forest in Canada somewhere, it's better that you see one of these bears with its red t-shirt and black writing, gripping, grasping, grabbing, before, rather than just turning around a corner and there's you and there's the bear. Inhale, lift and turn, keep lifting and turning. And we're around the other way. Breathing through the nose is ideal because of its function in filtering, warming, slowing, and hydrating the breath as it comes in. You can probably feel that as you breathe in, there's resistance. Obviously, there's hairs in the nose, on the nasal membrane, and then there's the channels themselves, which form sort of walls, as it were, for the air to kind of pass through. The membrane that it passes over is how it becomes hydrated. And the membrane, the nasal membrane, is warm as well. So it warms the air. There's a very good blood flow to the nasal membrane, which is partly why it's warm. Okay, return to center, palms up. Take a deep breath, or 5. Drop the shoulders. Breathe through your nose where possible, and notice the resistance on the way in and the relative ease on the way out of the breath. And you can imagine and feel, the membrane hydrating, helping to hydrate the air as it goes into the lungs. And it slows, it forms a little barrier. The nasal sinus is, it's not a straight line, a little barrier. So that's quite lovely, just noticing the resistance of the air as it comes in, the resistance on the air as it comes in. Okay, give your fingers a wiggle. And we're going to change the cross of the legs, but first we're going to turn around. So you can turn around towards the midline of the room. And then we're going to change the cross of the legs. But I tell you what, let's use the blocks. Let's just make life simpler from the get-go. So using the blocks, you can have a little gap between the blocks. The other leg's going in front. If you get confused, your body will remember, or you can get a tattoo on one leg and not the other. That can be helpful. And then scoot the buttocks under, elbows down, and then scoot under again. Under means towards the feet. And this is the BEA beautiful pose, Supta Sukhasana. And it's worth taking a few deep breaths in to appreciate it. I like to raise my arms up, and you might want to do this too, and move them side to side, because as my arms move to the right, my left shoulder blade lifts. And that's a chance for it to reposition and vice versa. So that gradually, as the arms are brought over the head towards the floor, side to side, side to side, the shoulder blades and the tissue around them that they're embedded into, so the rhomboids between the shoulder blades and so on, the shoulder blades can be moved. And this makes a huge difference to our ability to bring our arms over the head in a way that's peaceful, not just a sort of putting up with the discomfort, but peaceful. So I do it a lot. You know, even when my arms are down, I'll still lift up the left arm and move it towards the right a little bit, just to keep adjusting and readjusting until there's a high degree of peacefulness. Take deep breaths with soft eyes, with a soft brain, with a soft throat, with a soft tongue. And appreciate the breath, the resistance on the way in, the ease as it comes out. Notice the contact the breath has with the lungs. You can feel it touching the inside of the lungs. And really allow this sense of absorption. The lungs, like the rest of the body, don't benefit from our tension. And our tension mostly is driven by our uncertainty. Most of us have a huge sense of uncertainty, a huge sense of doubt. And we cope with that in various ways. Some people cope with it by putting on this huge armored front of views and opinions that they stick to no matter what the truth presents. So, you know, the cartoon version of that, of course, is Donald Trump, who, you know, with his face all sort of very sort of serious. And, you know, he's really hunkering down over views and opinions, even when those views and opinions are being contradicted by evidence right in front of one. So that's one way. Gather groups, you know, around you who all agree the same thing and agree to agree it. And then you feel more confident because there's others around you. But there's always the inconvenient others. You know, it creates the us and them. You know. But better is to open up to the way things are. So you can feel the inside of the lungs. You can, and then that means feeling if you're tense, you know, and acknowledging that. And then addressing that directly. Why are we tense? Because we don't know. What is it that we don't know? This. Why don't we know it? Because we're clinging to that. A painful memory from the past. an expectation about the future, a view that we've adopted that may have been relevant once but might not be anymore, a group that we feel loyal to. Okay, super duper. Bring your feet together and onto the blocks and take a breath in and out. Of course, useful to do both. In and out. Bring your arms forwards towards your blocks and then shimmy yourself in using your triceps so you can get your bum as close to the blocks as you can. Then get your feet as close to your bum as you can. Now I can reach my front shins, so I use that method. Not everyone will be able to, but if you can, that helps. So your bum and feet very, very close. And stretch your arms down towards your feet and see if you can take hold of your yoga mat underneath your blanket. And once you've got hold of your yoga mat, use it to pull your shoulders down and turn your arms out. And together, there are some very beneficial stretches that will happen around the neck and around the collarbones. Then we lift the bum up and turn the arms out even more. So our feet are on the blocks, the bum is lifted. The turning out of the arms happens while we're still holding the mat. The chin and chest come close-ish, bouncing, tilting, swaying. These can all be employed to help keep the lumbar longer. You can imagine people protesting, keep the lumbar longer, you know. Because that's what we want to do. Because in this world, most of what we do in this world makes the lumbar shorter, right? Which we don't want because it gets compressed. You know, sitting at desks, sitting on trains, sitting on sofas, you know, sitting in various ways at various times. So here we get this opportunity to keep the lumbar longer. And then we're going to float down as we let our arms turn back in. And finally we land, taking our hands off the mat, getting comfy, making sure the neck's comfy, palms up, take a breath. Enjoy, 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 enjoy. Bhogaha. Bhogaha means experience, but can also mean to enjoy something. So we have this idea of chamatkara, which means, you know, the ability, the enjoying something because you can enjoy it. So occasionally I get this sort of flash of, you know, wow, I'm in a human body and I have senses and I can experience things, you know, and it can be magical. Nowadays, we're encouraged to not experience things because, you know, we've got entertainment on our phones, especially when we think things are boring. So yesterday I had to wait outside an MRI unit for my sister, who I gave a lift there. And she was supposed to be 20 minutes, but she was 55 minutes in there. And I was standing outside and kept oscillating between thinking, oh, I'm bored. And then telling myself, well, you know, what's happening now, you know? And I got little flashes. I saw a seagull fly overhead. I saw movement in the distant trees. And I got little flashes of, I can experience this now, you know? You know, it's quite special. Now, raise a leg. Yeah, that one's fine. Yeah, that's a good choice. I would have gone for that one. And then dorsi and plantar flex and circle and half circle. Of course, this goes right the way through the leg. So we're just bringing some movement. And then we're going to interlace our fingers at the back of the thigh near the popliteal fossa. The popliteal fossa is the fossa, the space in the back of the knee that houses the popliteal nerve and the popliteus muscle and so on. So you're not quite on the back of the knee, but you're very close. And then you press gently your thigh into your hands, and your hands press equally back into the thigh until the front thigh vibrates, and you breathe into it. So maybe around the kneecap or even the top of the shin, the tibial tuberosity, there may be vibration. or heat. And then you draw that energy whilst free breathing. You comb that energy repeatedly through the leg, upwardly towards the pelvis. And it keeps arriving because you're still pressing your hands into your thigh and thigh into your hands. So this, you've got to keep sort of sweeping that energy up. Huh? So it keeps arriving, so you keep drawing it up. Keeps arriving, so you keep sweeping it up. Yeah. You don't hold your breath. That's an important caveat. There's 3 components: thigh into hands, hands into thigh, and free flow breathing. You can't miss one of those out without, the whole thing not working anymore. Okay, really good, super. Turn the whole leg out and bend at the knee and cross that leg over the other one. I prefer to go beyond the outer ankle onto the flatter part of the fibula just above. But I know at least one friend and yoga teacher who likes to go on the ankle, and I wouldn't dream of denying him that pleasure. So up to you. But I like going beyond the outer ankle because there's a little bit more stability I find there, and that gives me better feedback. For me, that's how it works. Okay, lift the foot that's on the floor. Lift your head. There's a gap between the legs, like an inverted triangle. Go through that gap with your hand, interlace around your far shin, and then bring your head back down again and have a roll about. Breathe through your nose. See if you can find moments. See if you can find moments through which, like portals, through which you disappear and you reappear in your true form. Tada drashtu swarupe avastanam. Then the seer rests in their true form, swarupe. Okay, these kind of rollabouts are rather super, but we'll release because we've got that little sequence to repeat on the other side. So once you're down, you might want to lift your bum up a couple of times, just lengthen the back out. Keep the lumbar longer. Keep the lumbar longer. Keep the lumbar longer. And breathe easy. Raise up the other leg. My youngest son, his wife now lives with us as well, Karina. She's fantastic. But she does this marvelous thing where she makes everything into a protest, particularly around Eli's room. So which we're trying to tidy up, her and me together. So if there's something that she thinks should be removed from Eli's room, she chants, "Throw it out, throw it out," because Eli's a little bit of a, well, not quite a hoarder, but well, yeah, he's a hoarder. Anyway, chanting can be fun. Interlace your fingers if you haven't already. Press the thigh into the hands and the hands into the thigh. Breathe through your nose. Jaw soft, eyes soft, brain soft, throat soft. And playing. And remember there's 3 elements, right? The thigh into the hands into the thigh, and the free flow breath. And if you miss out one, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And ranging around could be useful. You can play with the foot if you haven't already. There's lots of ways you can bring life, prana, into the body. Prana means like to breathe forth, prana. So hopefully you're getting that vibration in the knee or the tibial tuberosity, just underneath the knee, which is a prominence of the tibia, which is the main shin bone. Okay, groovy. Turn the heel in, toes out, and bend at the knee. Cross that leg over the other. Lift the foot that's on the floor off the floor. Plunge through when you're ready, interlace, and have a bit of a roll about. And the purpose is to see if you can find a moment, like a little portal, like a little wormhole that takes you straight away from our experience of things as independent to things as interdependent. On the one side, things are independent. You did this to me, you know, I want that. There's success and failure here and there, you know, good and not good, but, you know, bored and entertained. These are polarities. And then the interdependent experience is a field of richness that's dancing. Emptiness dancing. You know, what that means is that, you know, the mind is open and available, and then it falls into the dance. You know, the dance is there. The dance is present all the time. But we don't know it. We can fall into it. Okay, release and place and breathe. Take 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 deep breaths. And then roll over whenever you're ready, including immediately. And we're going to sit on either a cork block, or you can use these foam blocks this way around with the short end facing forwards. But if you've got a cork block, I'd go for that. Just slightly better. And the pose we're going to take, if possible, is Siddhasana. Now, I say if possible because you can take a different pose if Siddhasana is not possible. In Siddhasana, there's lots of variations, but essentially what makes Siddhasana Siddhasana is that the heels are lined up with each other and the midline of the body. So we're going to concentrate on the heart area as we breathe. And we're going to bring some energy into the heart area, hold it in the heart area, and then massage that energy so that it becomes absorbed, it becomes part of the heart area. So here's a demonstration of how to do that. We're going to do what's called breathing and then rebreathing, which means you take a bit of the inhalation, you don't breathe out, you take a bit more of the inhalation and a bit more, like blowing up a balloon. So brief demonstration of the actions. And then you breathe out at the end. So the breath is held the whole time. Now, I did 5 of each thing, which makes that longer in length. So why don't we start off with 3 of each thing? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and that will make it not so long. So it won't be so long to hold the breath. The thing I see people doing incorrectly most of all is, instead of doing this with the shoulder, people to do this sort of leg rubby thing. You know, so lovely though it is to rub your legs, that's not what we're doing. We're massaging the heart. Okay, so we'll do it together. I am mirroring, so it'll be right arm first. Let's breathe and then rebreathe. Take a few deep breaths. And then we'll do one more practice for the everywhere energy, the Vyana Vayu, which is one of the most important energies to consider because it's the energy that goes everywhere. So it helps to balance all the other energies, which are seen more locally in the body. Excuse me. So this exercise for the Vyana Vayu, I'll show you. You breathe into the coterminal point of the 3 channels. So you imagine 1, 2, 3 channels coterminate with the pelvic floor. And you're going to hold the breath there, and then you'll take the following actions that I'll show you briefly without the microphone. So I did 5, but do 3 of them. Remember, you're breathing into the pelvic floor and holding it there. When you're ready, you can begin. Continue to breathe deep. Relax the jaw, relax the buttocks, relax the lower back. Hands to the heart. Placing the bija mantra in the heart for green Tara. So she's a lovely, Zoomers can't see, but Roomers can see green Tara is in that begonia in the corners, merged in there. So this is Tong, T-A-M, but we keep the M as a pure nasal, so Tong. And we'll chant it once, but we imagine we're planting it like a seed. And it's a bija mantra, bija means seed. So deep breath in. Ta. Deep breaths after that. And it would be ideal to stay with that sensation in the heart center, that mantra that's planted there, that will act as an anchor if you get lost in the world or lost in reactions, which is the world. Reactions are not self, they're the world. Then coming back to this mantra. And if all your actions come out of the center, then actions will be coming out of emptiness, which means they won't be biased. They'll be available to respond. They won't come preloaded. We're going to lay down for a shortish amount of time, about 2 minutes in total, so that the class can be on time for anyone that has to do things with their day. Cool. So lay down comfortably. Excuse me, palms facing up, shoulder blades tucked under. And breathing natural, sense of surrender. Feel the full weight of the legs. The full weight of the knees. Full weight of the thigh bones. Full weight of the shins. Full weight of the feet. Full weight of the pelvis. Feel the lower back release just above the crest of the pelvis. And the middle back releases. Shoulders fully release, the full weight of the arms, just experience that weight. The wrists and the palms. Full weight of the rib cage. Full weight of the spinal column, including the neck. Feeling the back portion of the head. Laying down the full body weight. Laying down the body. And the attachments that it carries, lay those down. The views and opinions that it carries, lay those down. And then experience rests in what remains ageless, deathless, genderless, timeless. Without labels, without history or future. Boundless, light-filled, radiant. From this sense, this clear sense that that is what I am, aham asmi, that borderless, boundless, radiant, timeless, deathless, knowing that, feel into this, feel into the toes, feel into the fingers, move the toes a little, move the ankles a little, move the fingers a little, move the wrists a little, without forgetting the boundless, the radiant. Stretch the body in your own way, bending your legs when you feel ready, but staying in that sense of the boundless. In the heart center, remember the Bija Mantra tongue. Scoot the buttocks under. Take a deep breath. Roll over, facing away from the shrine side. Roll back again towards the shrine side of the room. And let light and color in. And finally, bring yourself up when you're ready from the side, using your arms to assist your ascent. May any benefit that we gain and have gained from acting in this way go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings. Om. Thanks all. Thanks so much for coming. Bless you. Bless you. Have a marvelous day and stay out of trouble. Try and stay, will you? Stay out of trouble. See you soon. Ciao. Great to see you. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, lovely.